conversation. So thank you again, David, for joining us today and talking to us about your project at Touro College of Osteopathic Medicine, starting research labs there. I'll let you do your own introduction and go ahead.
All right. Hi, everyone. David Manna here. Please call me Dave outside of the classroom. But I am assistant professor of microbiology and immunology at Touro Middletown. I teach things on microbiology for us. I'm also the director of our research labs and department chair in the basic science department. So I wear a few different hats, but most notably for this purpose, I'm in research administration and been leading the charge for developing our wet lab research culture in the past couple of years at Touro.
That sounds fantastic. And how did the idea to start an incubator come about? What was the genesis?
The genesis was I saw an opportunity. Our campus was the previous site of the New York State Accelerator Program in Orange County. I believe that site has now moved to Goshen or Chester, if I recall correctly, somewhere nearby, maybe even Warwick. I'm sure somebody here might know. The accelerator folded on our campus, and we had empty space, unused space in our campus. Our school leases space in the old Horton Hospital in Middletown, which was closed 15, 20 years ago, and when they built Orange Regional Medical Center, which is now Garnet Hospital. So Middletown had this empty building, and we revitalized it by bringing a medical school to it. But when the accelerator program folded, we had empty space available, and most notably, one of our longest standing research collaborators, a company called Oxyvita, was a tenant in the accelerator, and their future was uncertain. They wanted to stay on campus. They wanted to continue working with our faculty and students, but they had no lease anymore. The school kind of worked with the owners of the building to buy them some time and not kick them out of the building until we could figure out a plan. But it was, one, to save a really important research collaborator for us on campus, and two, to grow our research culture in general, which Touro University is really interested in right now. And I modeled this after the kind of idea we have at one of our sister schools. We'll call it New York Medical College. They have the BioInc research incubator. And for our faculty who teach a lot at a small medical school, having ready-made projects to jump into is really valuable. Not everyone has the time and will to start up their own research agenda when you're teaching a ton. So small companies who have research ideas and products that need a little R&D and could use some student interns and faculty collaborators for the development and academic side of things and research. I saw a great opportunity, so I proposed it to our school and said, I already had one or two tenants lined up, and we found our third. And we proposed to take over the lease for the sole purpose of building our research culture and bringing more scholarship to campus. And our upper administration signed off on it and gave me the directive. It's research space. We have a little flexibility in how we view that, but it's almost 9,000 square feet we added onto our campus, and it's all dedicated to improving our scholarship and our school reputation in terms of scholarship.
That is fantastic. And so maybe you could go over the capabilities or the resources available. You said 9,000 square feet, but what's in the 9,000 square feet?
It is,
for the entrepreneurs out there listening that are looking for a biotech incubator.
Absolutely. We are in an old hospital, so that 9,000 square feet obviously is not all usable, right? It looks like an old hospital wing with a nursing station in the open air and all that good stuff. But I'll start with our campus research lab, which is on the first floor. We have a fully functional wet lab on campus now that our tenants have access to, right? You need a cutting edge molecular technique, something like that. We have the equipment that can do the assay for you. so that you don't have to purchase, a $20,000 piece of equipment. We have quantitative PCR. We have plate readers galore. We can do all your plate reader applications. We have a fluorescence microscope. We have a gel imaging system for all DNA, RNA, protein applications. We have microtomes and vibrating blade microtomes for tissue sectioning and staining for microscopy. And we have a basic microbiology lab and a cell culture room, which I'm actually starting up my virus research lab in right now. So pretty much the big bulk of molecular biology techniques that make the modern research lab hum, we now have. And this has been a 2-year process that the school, alongside with this research incubator, has really put up big support for us to get started.
That's fantastic. And what kind of companies do you think that you are most ready to receive? Biotech obviously is a wide breadth of companies, different techniques and equipment needs. So what do you think you're most primed for if there's an entrepreneur out there?
We are probably most primed for work on medical devices, diagnostic tests using clinical samples like blood, urine, that kind of thing. We'll talk a little more, I'm sure, about our tenants. Our tenants are really strong in spectrophotometry and protein chemistry, biochemistry. But we take a wide view on what scholarship is, right? Obviously, we're a medical school, so the students and faculty will get most interested in something that is health related, right? And it doesn't have to be a medical device or a drug or a pharmaceutical or whatever it is. But, that's ideally, our students and our faculty really do get excited about products with clear applications that have clear clinical applications. Okay. But like I said, we take a wider lens of what that can entail. And as long as you have some scholarship agenda planned, and it could be social science, psychology, educational research, there's many types of scholarship. It's not all done at the wet lab. If you have a hypothesis you want to test or a product that needs a little R&D, I think we would be a great landing spot for a younger company who's just getting started, could use a little input on R&D from academics, could use some hands at the bench with student interns. We can give you a softer landing spot, so to speak, to start up a company and work with you and help you develop something so that it can go to testing. So I would say that is the best fishing lure I can put out there, so to speak, is a young, new idea, a new company that's looking for a little support and to team up with a friendly administration and drive forward their development. I think that's the key things for us.
Well, that is great. And we do have a question in the chat from Eliza, who is asking about the costs associated with those services.
Gotcha. We charge roughly $24 a square foot a year. Over the past year, I actually learned what that meant. I had no idea what it meant when they first told me, because, as I said, I study viruses. But we think it's a really competitive retail type price in the Middletown area in Orange County. And that comes with all the benefits, right? They don't pay power. They don't pay. We provide Wi-Fi. We do facility services for them. These companies we work with, we purchase supplies and reagents and furniture and all this sort of thing. We'll haul away your lab waste for you, all that kind of stuff. So it's just the rent for the most part that they're paying, unless there's something above and beyond that they need. So that's roughly what we're going for, $24 a square foot.
Wow, that's fantastic. And that includes the research support as well?
Absolutely. That brings you into the team. And with that, we have operating budgets and university mandate to support these people and get projects moving, right? I want students and faculty involved in their projects, whatever they are. and I want them out at conferences in front of posters, taking nice pictures with our logo on it and all that sort of thing, turning into publications and turning into, possibilities for these companies, right? Because we'll all succeed together in this.
Yeah, that sounds great. I agree. And in terms of an outside company coming to Toro, is there any sort of equity requirements or just rent?
Just rent,
That is good to hear. Yeah,
just rent.
very attractive for a lot of companies.
Yeah, and since if before we verge a little bit from facilities, the third floor where the incubator is has some unique aspects as well, along with our research lab that our faculty use with that equipment. Most notably is that in the research incubator, there's an ISO 7 clean room, which is a clean room with HEPA filtered air. The levels, as you increase ISO 6 to 7 to 8 to 9, the bigger the number, the more pure the air is. But ISO 7 level clean rooms, you can manufacture medical grade devices and pharmaceuticals in this clean room.
Wow,
Which
that's
is you don't see those everywhere. And one of the real attractive things that I saw just sitting there and could be a real asset to our school.
yeah, 100%. So what kind of, as you set up, it sounds like you have a lot of you know, kind of pre-established I guess equipment and resources. So what I guess I'm asking is the challenges, I guess, that you have been facing in terms of setting up the incubator. It's very new and you're doing it, you know, yourself from the ground up. I talked to you and I couldn't believe how much you had done personally to set up the incubator. And so just in terms of other people out there who might be interested in joining you in a partnership or a collaboration, if you're a bigger company, what kind of challenges are you facing right now? And then what kind of partnerships do you think would help you? Maybe even resources from the state or even the Incubator Association. Would you like to see that can help you overcome those things?
Yep, gotcha. Our
And
challenge.
and I know venture connections is the big one, but if there's anything else besides that, that'd be great.
Yes, I would love to slap a wealthy benefactor's name on the door and maybe buy her some nice equipment to put up there. That would be great. Long-term goals, but the challenges are, as you expect, everything is new. I'm a molecular biologist and a microbiologist by training. No business savvy whatsoever. It's not my thing. But in academia, you learn to do things on the fly, and a good portion of a professor's job is not in what they're trained in, right? I'm a department chair and I manage academics. I'm their direct supervisor. Never had any training in that either, right? So that's just academia. You learn things on the fly. When you become a good teacher and you move up the chain in a school, they start throwing other duties at you that are not in your profession, and you just pick it up on the fly. Now, the challenges, especially in that vein, have been, I can have an idea of what would be enticing types of research equipment to put up there and projects we can start together. And that comes naturally to me, right? But what kind of state agencies do I need funding from to apply for? What kind of associations do we need to be members of to start that networking? I found out that business and entrepreneurship, especially in this realm, is very small community, and everyone seems to know everyone already. And it's getting that right mix of connections and people on board to know what you're doing to help me figure out what I don't know, right? Because that's what one of my big challenges is. And we're learning a lot. And with the challenges come, I would say, the challenges make things sweeter on the other side when they work out, right? Just getting Wi-Fi for our tenants was a fairly big to do, because we rent space in an old hospital, right? And they had to scour the campus for the access line and run cable 1,000 feet and all that sort of stuff, right? So it's just everything we do is kind of for the first time. This is a new venture, and we learn as we go. And our tenants have been fantastic with acknowledging that and growing with us. And when I don't do things extremely timely. They give me a little grace, and we work together, and we're all in the same mindset that slow and steady growth is what we can do right now, and we will continue our upward trajectory. We might not be able to do everything this year, but we'll get it done over time, and we're going to work together to do it. And those big needs and those future plans of mine is, yes, we are out, some of our companies have their functional laboratory up and running. Some are gearing up to build their laboratory room. In the future, some of our unrented space, at the current moment, one of my big goals is to start outfitting them as research rooms specifically, so that you don't rent, right? Because we're offering a good price on rooms, because most of the rooms, they will have a desk in them and a bookshelf and a chair and that sort of stuff. But it's not a ready-made laboratory room yet. And over this year, especially now that we got started and we're underway, I'd like to try to secure funding to turn some of those empty rooms into outfitted, put the bones of a laboratory in there, and some lab benches and some equipment, so that somebody who has the product, has an idea, and is ready to start testing it right away, they can jump right in and rent one of those spaces. So I think that's where I think opportunities for long-term growth and stability will come, but of course that will require some external funding sources.
Understand. Is that going to affect the $24 per square foot number?
If we get there, yes, I will then have to probably charge a little more, but we'll work with real estate types and all that sort of thing to make sure we're extending a fair offer, because again, it won't do us any good to lose tenants. We are in this together, right? We pay rent on the space. Tenants help us offset what we're paying. The rest of it that doesn't add up in the budget line, we write off as scholarship investment. But it's really, it's really a process of just taking it bit by bit and growing as we can, and we'll find that right opportunity, I think, to outfit a couple of the rooms, along with outfitting rooms for our current tenants as well, right? Because they are growing as well.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty attractive for a lot of companies that have a hand-on incubator manager like you, who's willing to customize their space for them based off their company needs.
Absolutely.
So do you think that because biotech in general and medical devices is such a I guess like company specific, for equipment needs, every product is very unique. Do you think that's going to be challenging to offer customized labs, and maybe you could just take input from prospective companies, and then once they've agreed, then you sign out the lease or build out the space for them? Or
yes, I would say making it 100% customizable would be difficult, but there are a lot of shared things that would go, many companies would be interested in having. There's like a set of base equipment, and those types of things around. Research equipment in general is expensive, right? If you see an item in the lab, just add 50% to it. That's how much it costs if it's a research company selling it. Those smaller items, they're very translatable company to company. And then if they have one, it's oftentimes they need like one piece of technology, and it's going to cost you $100,000 to buy a piece of equipment or something like that. Yes, absolutely. We work with you, but there's got to be, along with it's got to have a solid scholarship plan, studies underway, and knowing that any type of investment we put forth is going to contribute to our mission.
Yeah, 100%. And so in terms of extra resources available for your companies and the benefits, a lot of incubators, and especially in biotech, they partner with outside organizations, maybe that can, help fulfill their company needs. Like, I know a lot of people use CROs and even contractors to help fulfill their missions. So are you looking for kind of those collaborations? Or Are they already established, and who do you work with?
Okay, one is, well,
And if you
well,
don't, would you be open, if there's companies out there that want to work with you, how do they get
absolutely.
in touch with you? What are you looking for?
Yep, gotcha. Absolutely. One is if you're interested, absolutely, just reach out to me by phone, email. You can find me on our college website. Mike can give you contact info, etc. Um, our mission, the mission of Touro College of Osteopathic Medicine is to serve underserved communities. We value research and public service and volunteering, and we want to increase the number of underrepresented minorities practicing medicine in underserved communities. That is our school mission. Everything we do at the school is under the umbrella of that mission. And then obviously we have subheadings, right? Academics, scholarship and research, right? And that's where the various departments get involved. I have to keep our mission in mind. Minority run businesses, super attractive to us. Female led businesses, very attractive to us. But we are small osteopathic schools are newer. They're a little more nimble than your large MD school that has the university attached to it and the big hospital. It's been around for 100, 200 years. We don't have nearly as many hangups as MD schools do with partnering with businesses and being business friendly. But with that, yeah, a company would have to, be part of the mission and help us grow that way. And yes, I'm willing to hear any and all kind of idea, as long as it's a good fit for me and the school, and it's a good fit for the tenant. Then I am all ears for any type of idea.
Yeah, sounds fantastic. And so, but in terms of like a specific service, I know there's a lot of testing companies and validation companies out there. Are you looking for those kinds of partnerships? And then in the same vein, what kind of partnerships have you been approached with as you've done this planning process over the last 2 years? And have there been any ones that stick out as like, this was a great way for us to get launched and they were very helpful, those kinds of things?
Um,
Besides the Business Incubator Association of New York State, obviously.
that's right. Yes. Well, yes, you're definitely one of the first people that came my way, and it was great to meet everyone at BIANYS. The anything in clinical diagnostic testing would be a valuable partner for us, absolutely, because a lot of our ideas and research on campus a lot of times would require that test result to say this this product works against a gold standard diagnostic test, right? Because if you have anything new, you have to test it against the verified standard, right? What was done before it. So anything in the clinical diagnostic lab realm would be really valuable partners for us, because they could do some of the thing, right? The day-to-day work at a clinical research lab diagnosing patients is right run-of-the-mill business for them, and that's something it's a little tougher for us to do on campus, right? Now, in terms of, have there been any partners, collaborators, outside entities helping push this forward so far? Not as of yet. And that is, and like I said, we're kind of doing things bit by bit, and near the top of my agenda and to-do list is address this and try to get more business community connections and New York State connections that are going to give us just that little bump we need, I think, to keep improving things above and beyond what we can do year to year with our operating budget, right? We did this on our own. We did this with the research operating budget we used to buy lab reagents and supplies and all that sort of thing. Um, I'm confident if we have to, we can keep growing and building on our own, but obviously everyone needs a friend, everyone needs a little help at times. And uh, that is one of the things first and foremost on my mind is how do we secure an interested charitable organization, state agency, business, diagnostic lab, whatever it is, get involved with what we're doing and see if they'd like to support us, right? Maybe even call it the Touro Research Incubator sponsored by whoever. That'd be great. We could certainly do that sort of thing.
Yeah, 100%. So what do you think? Do you think financial support is the best thing that New York State can do at this point for business incubators?
For mine, specifically, I can't speak to the other ones. For me, the financial support would go directly towards infrastructure of because this was a business incubator space that we took over office space. And there are certain, the guts of a room are a little different in a lab. And for instance, this year we put in a bunch of safety showers and eye washes, increased ventilation for a chemical fume hood, things like that, right? So money would be very helpful. I even know that our school loves external funding. And when my bosses see external funding, then the potential of matching with university funds becomes really attractive to write a big check. So absolutely, one is money and to help me really turn a lot of space more laboratory specific up there, update the infrastructure. And two is connections and spreading the word. I think that's one of the biggest things because like I said, it's a small community, and I think we're doing better at getting the word out there so people know what we're doing. And without that, it'll be a more slow process for us to find more tenants, right? Because we need some more tenants. We need 1 to 3 more small businesses, and we have space for you. Would really fill out our space nicely, ensure our long-term success, get us close to that break-even point on the rent my school pays to occupy the space, and then everyone is very content, right? Because this is not a business venture for the school. We're a nonprofit. This is reinvesting money, reinvesting profits into the business as a nonprofit does, and so I think that's where we stand.
Yeah. And I think most people would agree with that. Business incubation, what I've seen in the field is that really is economic development at a grassroots level. There's a lot of programs that give money to projects, to a building, to a one-off thing. But these are sustainable businesses. Statistically speaking, 3/4 of businesses stay in the area that they were incubated in, according to numerous studies that we've seen.
Yep.
So what we're trying to do is like foster economic development in these different areas. So
And can I jump in there too? Is
go ahead.
our term incubator, research incubator, probably due to my business savvy or lack thereof, is kind of a default name we chose for it because if we have a successful partner, I don't want to send you away. I want you to stay with us and grow with us. A good partner like we've had with Oxyvita over the years and our new tenants SPU and Abundant Living, we don't want to get rid of you. Like if you're there and you're partnering with us and we have good outcomes and you are happy in our space, there's no timeline. There's no set point for you've been incubated and now you must leave, right? We want to keep you there. And I think that's, I don't know if we can find a better term for the space on campus, but I think it's important to note that there is no like time limit into how long you could run with us.
Oh, that's very interesting. And I think that's different than most incubator models, which would probably be very interesting for a lot of companies, I think.
Yeah, a good tenant is hard to find.
Yeah. So, we've talked about success and things like that. So with that different model, what do you see as success? If these companies, I'm assuming you would hope that one day they would become massive companies, and
Mhm.
at that point they can't
Yep.
really, they might outgrow your space,
And
especially.
that would be wonderful. And then faced with a good problem like that, perhaps they'd be willing to pay it forward, and it could be the research incubator sponsored by this company, right? They could become become donators. It's we have we have space, and we have space to grow into. We lease more space on campus than we use. We have more space to grow into. Um, if it came to that, I think it would be an okay problem to have, that if somebody truly did outgrow our space, they've got pretty big and pretty successful.
Yeah,
And if we couldn't find enough room for them if they wanted to stay. So that's one thing. The success of our tenants is our success, in that we want to see their products develop and hit the market, or whatever it is, right? That is point one. And point two is success for me in my day-to-day is increasing research opportunities for our faculty and for our students. Like I said, we're a lean and mean small school with a small faculty. We teach a lot. A lot of us wear multiple hats and wear different, day-to-day roles. And I hear students all the time, they're concerned about getting a good residency and how to shine in their applications when they graduate. And a lot of that anxiety and stress has turned to, I have to have a good research experience during my med school days. And we don't have enough faculty doing research to support all those students, right? So each one of our tenants is working with students already. And success is a poster at a research conference with a faculty name, a student name, and names from the people in the companies that are, right. You have to be willing. I know there are some parts about private industry stuff that you're not going to publish if it is really coming along, going for patent, all that sort of thing. But success for us is publishing, notoriety, getting your name out there.
yeah, very, very academically focused success.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which I think is also rare in this space, right? You know, I think you have a very good mission and a very good model in terms of member companies being closely aligned with your goals as well. Um, so I guess I do want to ask another question, then we can ask the audience if they have any questions. But um, I what I think that is really nice about your journey here is that you didn't have a double interest in biotech and business. You were a straight researcher who got pulled into this space. Um, what do you think? What do you think like surprised you the most about the business community and the incubation community, startup biotech community? Um, what was, I think, different from your research days?
Um, well, if can I say everything? It's very different. One thing that really struck me early on was it is a really small community. And once you start to explore a little bit, um, everybody seems to know everybody once you become established. And they're right. Like I've considered, should we put out an ad somewhere that we have, maybe in a with a real estate agent, something like that, but not sure the reach is proper, right? Because it's a very specific type of company we're fishing for here, right? And I found that finding the right people to speak to and spread the word, and um, organizations to join, like the Business Incubator Association of New York, are going to be key for us, because you can spread the word all you want with the shotgun approach and hope that the right pair of eyes sees your ad, or you could be a little more targeted. And I found that I think you got to be very precise and targeted here, and how you do your outreach, because like a Facebook ad, a Google ad, something like that's probably not going to work for us.
Yeah. And that being said, we do have a monthly newsletter that we put out that anybody's any one of our members can put advertisements in for their space and capabilities and things like
Mhm.
that. But yeah, I agree. The community is really small. What's nice about that though is within a few months of going to events and being a part of the community, you can really gain a lot of traction very quickly, figure out best practices very fast.
Mhm.
Um, so I just want to pause real quick to see if there was any questions from the audience before we go on to our next, you know, kind of chapter, which I do want to talk about biotech in general and just what you've found to be the, regulatory challenges and the economic challenges that you've seen while attracting companies. Give you a second to noodle on that.
Okay.
Doesn't look like anybody has questions right now. So yeah, we could just fire away and just start talking about biotech in general. I just want to touch on that since you're kind of dipping your feet into this world. What do you think about company valuations, company creation, the general theme that you've seen while starting this incubator? Are you optimistic, or do you think we have challenges ahead that we need to be looking out for?
Um, hmm. I'm optimistic by nature. Helps
I
keep
can
me
I
going
can
at
tell.
times.
I can tell.
Um, I appreciate the half glass full approach because it does keep you moving along when things are getting tough. Um, I think it takes a lot to start up a company from what I've seen, and the the pressure must be really intense getting off the ground. I can't speak to the regulatory side of things on business, but I do know that the amount of paperwork and regulation, if you're going to test anything on a human subject, the regulatory paperwork is, from the science side of things, is a lot. It's really an intense process, and yeah, it's now might be especially a tough time to want to start a company. Things are expensive and hard to. It's very competitive out there, and it's hard to secure funding. So I'm optimistic that ventures like ours can keep things going and give the right people a spot that they might succeed in. Whereas if they were just in the community on their own, they might not have the resources to make it happen. And um, that's really where I get my enthusiasm for this from, is just knowing that, I believe we're helping our three companies. At least I hope we are. They give me good input. I think everyone's happy with us so far. Um,
What's I'm just curious, what's the number one thing that they seem to consistently bring up? Besides venture funding, of course.
they want more friends. They want more tenants. We want to fill out the space. We want people to have shared interests, right? Because, like I said, the space on campus was empty. It was dark. It
Yeah.
was starting to get run down. You know, we brought life back into the space, and we want to, we put student study spaces in there and put some faculty offices in there. There's a shared conference room. They want more companies like themselves to bounce ideas off, have people that maybe have that specific piece of equipment they might need to use for an experiment, right? They can share resources and build a community together. That the number one request and ask I get is, how are things going on finding some more tenants and get us friends upstairs?
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that people that I've seen who start companies find to be the most challenging part is a surprising thing that nobody thinks about when they first start is how lonely they're going to be, especially if they're a one person show, a
Mhm.
postdoc or a student that took an idea or their project, got a patent, went through the tech transfer process. Which, by the way, are you working with your tech transfer team on these projects?
Um, no,
Oh,
not, I need to know what a tech transfer team is, apparently.
no, sorry. So tech transfer teams are the housed within academic centers that help get the technology from the bench to the clinic. Like
Gotcha.
They kind of act right before the incubator. They help with the patenting process, make sure that the university has its rights to the project that it deems fair. Um,
Mhm.
you know,
Okay,
helps with the patent process and the discovery process.
gotcha. We certainly have that in the Touro University system, most specifically probably at New York Medical College, um, where they have the BioInc research incubator. Um, but no, that has not been on the horizon yet.
Gotcha. Well, they are good resources for entrepreneurs that are
Mhm.
curious. They could even just give a patent search to see if there's already companies, that have been established around different technologies, and they're becoming a growing part of academia from what I've seen. Uh,
Okay,
yeah, but as I was saying, the loneliness is something that people rarely think about when they go and start a company, and so I think the co-working space and incubation space is really solving that problem, and bringing more people. And it's tough now, especially with remote work, um, for companies. Wet lab and biotech is obviously different,
yeah,
than let's say an AI company. So in terms of I don't want to take up too much time. I think we're really exhausting the topic, but I think this has been a great conversation.
sure.
Um,
Can
but
I, is there a bit of time to share a little bit about our three tenants and what they study?
I would love to hear about your tenants, and then I want to hear about your next 5 years to close it out.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's a loaded question. All right. So, our tenants, let's see, we've got Oxyvita, who studies a blood replacement therapy. They have a patented molecule. It's a hemoglobin tetramer. Hemoglobin's a molecule that delivers oxygen from your red blood cells to your tissues. And they believe they have a molecule that might be able to substitute for a whole red blood cell infusion if you need a blood transfusion. There are places red blood cells can't get in your body. For instance, if you have an occlusion in your artery, a blockage that a red blood cell can't get past, they're hoping their patented molecule can get through that little crevice and put oxygen into tissues that wouldn't normally get it, right? Somebody's having a stroke, a heart attack. They also are studying organ transplants, and if their molecule is able to extend the shelf life of an organ after it's taken from a donor and being shipped to a recipient. So they have a really, really neat clinical translational product. They were the previous tenant in the accelerator program that was kind of hanging out there in the breeze. And we're really happy they stayed with us. And the owners are, known to us. The owner is an adjunct faculty member, and dozens of students have been researching with her over the years. She's Dr. Wallako is a big supporter of our students and a huge member of our school over the years. Right, that's a great example of, students get really excited about those types of projects, right, because they have clear medical applications. Two is SPU Optics. It's a high-tech spectrophotometry company that are developing a prototype spectrophotometer. Spectrophotometers are lab instruments that shine a light through a sample and have a light detector at the other end, and they measure how the light was scattered by whatever it bounces off as the light passes through. It's a way to measure various things in the laboratory. And for years and years, spectrophotometry was shrinking in scale. And then like 10, 20 years ago, it kind of stopped. And spectrophotometers could only stop shrinking so much. They believe they've got a novel device that has really shrunk the scale of a spectrophotometer, and working on the prototype. And we hope to get a prototype on campus this year at some point. And their initial projects are going to be things like pop this thing on a drone and see if you can use it to detect air contaminants, like in a forest fire or a chemical spill, right? Put this little small device, like the size of, I hear it's like the size of maybe like 2 postage stamps. It's pretty small, right? It's like really shrunken down, and send it places a person can't go, where somebody might have to have a spectrophotometer that's the size of a briefcase, right? Something like that. So they have a really, really neat high-tech product that, again, they're starting with environmental testing, but not unthinkable. And then I'm sure students will be pushing them to say, hey, could we do like a new urine test for whatever, if you're diabetic and you're having urinalysis, maybe we can look at how much glucose is in your urine with this thing. So there's going to be a lot of neat applications coming from SPU optics.
Wow.
And then our sorry, go ahead.
That's a fantastic product.
It is. I was really happy to cross paths with them. We just kind of had some mutual connections, and they heard about what we were doing and toured the space, and they signed up with us. I was really happy to get them.
Right. And where did they do the work on the actual device in?
Their parent company is based in Taiwan,
Oh, okay.
and that's where the development is going on right now, the device. And then they'll get one on campus for their US based office with us.
That's
Right,
great.
so a great model of how international companies, right, seeking a US mailing address and a footprint in the US business community. Great thing we could do for you. And then our third tenant, actually another previous tenant of the accelerator program, it's called Abundant Living Total Wellness. Miss Oliver is a registered nurse and an Army veteran, or Air Force veteran, actually. She studies, her business deals with holistic wellness and various ways to deal with the stresses of modern life. Very wide view in what she's interested in. She's getting massage areas set up and meditation rooms, but her scholarly interests are about a special type of hair loss common in Black women, CCCA. She's working on a IRB protocol right now with our students and faculty to take hair follicle samples and do work in our research lab and try to assess what's going on with the immune system and the patient's metabolism that might be killing off the hair follicles. And she's interested in anti-inflammatory properties of natural organic molecules that might help with things like eczema, right? But she also runs her business out of it. And, clients come up and they come in for meditation and massage. And, she's interested in starting a health food cafe up in the space and that kind of thing. So like I said, we have a wide view of what scholarship, and she has an IRB protocol being developed and some really good science going on, but she's also an entrepreneur and a business owner. So without the scholarship, I don't know if we would have signed up, right? Because
Yeah.
this was a research dedicated space, but if you bring the research with us, we can take a very lenient view of what else you do in that space, because again, we're dedicating space to scholarship. So I think that's a great example of, we got some high-tech clinical stuff, and then we got some stuff that really with Miss Oliver that really appeals to our young medical students who are interested in holistic preventative medical care and know that there's more to your wellness than just what your lab test says. And they know about psychological stress and its effects on the body. And it's a really attractive thing for an osteopathic medical student.
Absolutely. And I think it's really great that your space is so flexible with different entrepreneurs and especially in the incubation space, a lot of times startup companies are pivoting and back and forth, and sometimes they're still doing customer discovery, right? So it's great to have an incubator manager who's just as flexible as the entrepreneur needs to be.
We are definitely flexible and nimble. That's one of the benefits of being at a small school.
Yeah. And do these companies, do they have, besides you, is there dedicated staff at the Touro incubator that is helping them with, like you said, the regulatory paperwork that seems to be, ever increasing and things like that? And or do you have plans to hire a staff in the near future?
Both.
Okay.
We'll see how my budget proposals go. We should be getting answers pretty soon on budget proposals for a full-time administrative assistant to help push things along up there. Otherwise, we make do with what we have, and administrative staff from various departments and research and basic science have been pitching in along with me to help make things happen in the short term. But yes, we're hoping that more help is on the way.
Yeah. Do you have grant writing help for the companies too?
Yes, we have Touro University. We like to call ourselves the biggest school you've never heard of because we specialize in small campuses that are often graduate professional schools, healthcare schools, a few hundred students in each location.
Yeah.
But with that model, there's like 40 different campuses scattered around the country, especially in the New York metropolitan area. So yes, we have grant writing services throughout the university. That's one of our strengths is we may not always have somebody at our regional campus that can do that for you. But if we don't, we have somebody at a sister school who can.
Wow.
So we have a big network.
Now that's fantastic. And especially there's a few grants out there from New York State for anybody that's interested. There's pre-seed and seed matching grant programs. There's also, federal grant programs, the SBIR, STTR. These are pretty, heavy writing intensive projects that a lot of entrepreneurs might not have the time because they're busy running their business. So it's nice to see somebody who's flexible and has resources, who's open to collaboration, open to partnership, open to customization. It's really a good space that you've built there. I'm really happy about it. So we're excited to have you in the membership. And I think this is going to be a very successful enterprise for you.
I hope so too.
Yeah. So is there anything you want to add as we get to the end of the webinar?
Only that if you're curious to learn more, please call me, please email me. Be happy to show you the space, happy to tell you more.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, David, and thanks for everybody for tuning in. Really appreciate it. It's been a great conversation for me.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.